Hey guys, I'm going to teach you how to do this super cute embroidered flower, and it just requires knowing how to do a half cross stitch. So I'm going to show you how to do it. So this is my flower that I want to embroider, and what I really like to do is draw out on my aida cloth exactly what I'm going to be doing and the colors I'm going to be embroidering, so that it's very clear to me what colors I need to use and where I need to use them. Sometimes I will go ahead and I'll just show you. Sketch it out on graph paper because the squares on this allow you to replicate the squares on the aida cloth, but the easiest thing in reality is just drawing it out. So one thing I will say is that if you see color on a square, even if it's just partially there, go ahead and stitch that square. The very first thing that I'm going to do is the center of the flower. I'm doing that first because when I do the pink petals, I'm going to have to skip over this part in the back. And once you skip over squares, it's very hard to see the holes. I'm starting bottom left and I'm going into the top right corner of every square. And I am just working all the way across. So bottom left to top right. Now I'm going to start working right to left. So when you work right to left, you want to come out in the top right corner of your square and go into the bottom left. So I'm going to go ahead and mark for myself where I need to come back out through. It's hard to know where you need to poke back through if you don't see a hole that's bigger than the rest. So I'm coming out top right, going in bottom left. And once I get to the end of this row, I'm going to start working left to right again. So that means that I am back to working bottom left corner of a square to top right. And that's the center of your flower. And the next thing I'm going to do is start working on the petals. So when I start my petals, I'm going to be working from the top to the bottom. So I'm just starting in the top or the bottom left corner of the first square on the left that I'm going to be working through. And then I go back into the top right. So I'm continuing to do the half cross stitch, and I'll do this all the way across until my border that I drew out starts to end, and then I'll switch over and work right to left. Alright, so that is where my flower border ends for this top portion. So I'm going to start working right to left now. So I'm going to go as close as I can to the border, mark it, and begin working from the top right corner of squares to the bottom left corners. And the stitch is exactly the same. It's just you're doing it a little bit differently, and that's to avoid possibly going into a hole that you just came out of. Alright, so I've reached the border of my flower once again, so I'm going to start working left to right. So I'm going to mark for myself where I'm beginning. Now that I'm working left to right, I'm starting in the left bottom corner and going to the top right corner of every square. Okay, so just to give a little update, I've come down quite a bit in my rows. At this point, I'm skipping over some areas in the back in order to spread out my stitches in the front, and that's making the petals more visible. So I'm going to continue to do this until I have all of my petals, and when I get to the center part, I'm going to skip these few stitches and work around it. So I just wanted to show you exactly what I'm doing as I get to the center of the flower. So as you can see, I've worked right up until the center begins, and on the back side I am skipping over a couple of stitches and I'm going in right where the center ends. And then I just pick up my stitches as normal and continue working. And I will keep doing this until I've completely gone around the center and finished my petals. So my flower is done, and now I'm going to start working on the stem. And for the stem, I'm going to use the half cross stitch as well. So I'm just marking a hole for myself so I can find in the back where I need to go through. And I'm going to begin doing this half cross stitch, and I'm just going to work my way down the stem. So first I'm going to do the stem, and then I'm going to go back and do the leaves. So I'm continuing to work along my stem, and as you can see, it's curving left. So my stitches are diagonal to each other, and what I'm doing to help myself out with finding the correct place to go in from the back side is just poking a hole. And And once I get to a flatter area, I find it easiest to do the half cross stitch starting in the top right corner going to the left bottom corner. But either way, it's okay. It all looks the same. It's just whatever works the easiest for you. So my stem is done and now I'm working on the leaves. So I'm continuing just to do the half cross stitch where I work left bottom to top right when I go left to right, and then the opposite going right to left. And I'm just following the lines that I drew out, making sure that I don't stray too far from them. And every time I start a new row, I mark it out. It's just the same thing I've been doing this whole time. So I have one more leaf to go. I'm going to do that and then I'll show you what everything looks like when it's all done. Alright, so the flower is totally finished now, and this makes a great pillow addition, or you can frame it and hang it on the wall. There's so much you can do with these embroidered projects. But if you like doing this project, check out more that I have on my page, and I will be coming out with some more very soon.